Well, guys, I might have goofed a little bit on this one. That's got to make a seal on the bottom of the base. But we are growing a nice dome here. Well, guys, I might have goofed a little bit on this one. We'll have to see. So, my exhaust ended up at 96. My transfers are at 116. So we got 20 degrees of blowdown. So yeah. We're breaking all the rules here, I guess. And then the intake's at 80. So we've only got what, 35? If we just look at it like a regular case and say transfers to intake, be 35 degrees. Or no, not 35. It'd be 36 degrees of case pumping or case compression. So, you know, we're breaking all the rules here, I guess. And you know, I don't know. We got to run it and see. We may end up doing a version 3 right away if this don't go. But we'll have to see. I don't exactly know what's going to happen here. I didn't realize that my durations were going to get that big. We're still going to try to salvage as much compression and torque as we can by running 2 rings. I'll show you the piston that we're going to run. So it's not really, with that piston, it's not probably going to run like a 96 exhaust. Well, hopefully it works, but it may have a little bit more compression than we otherwise would with that running that piston. So let's take a look at the piston. I'll show you the pipe. All right, so this piston, this is kind of a piston job or a piston build. So as I keep lowering the cylinder, in version 1, I did a base gasket delete. So we had to trim a little bit to make that happen. And then for version 2, I think I cut, I don't know what I cut. I didn't even measure it. The way that I cut it was I just looked at how this impulse port fit to the this intake manifold here. So this intake manifold has this little gasket with this little ridge, and that's got to fit. That's got to make a seal on the bottom of the base. So I could have gone a little bit more, but if that doesn't seal, you got an air leak. You lose your impulse. So that's all that I did, was just kind of took it down. And I left a little meat on the bone. We could take it down a little farther, but that's it. This piston just keeps going down with the cylinder. So, I did goof a little bit, and as we did the machine work, we're not gaining any ground back on compression because we just keep losing it right back with the piston. But we are growing a nice dome here, which should push us back some compression And with running 2 rings, and on this cylinder, if you can see that decomp plug right there, I didn't realize on version 1 that decomp plug was about 1/8 of an inch, or maybe even more than 1/8 of an inch short of being flush with the dome. So I had to modify that plug to get that flushed out. So there's a couple of tricks, or just making it right, not even tricks, just making it right, trying to maximize what we can and salvage what we can for compression here on this saw, and try a 96 exhaust. So that's really it. The pipe is, you know, it's the Iron Horse style pipe. I don't think this thing is going to rob too much torque. I mean, it's got a 1-inch ID stinger, 2-inch long. I think this pipe might cook on this thing, but we got to check it. We got to find out. There's no miracle formula or anything to figure out what kind of pipe to run. You just got to build pipes and try pipes. Oh, and if you're going to do machine work on the 592, you're probably going to have to modify the bottom of this skirt here, because this is going to end up getting into the inners of the case. So a couple things to watch out for. Yeah, I mean, the way that these numbers are ending up is, you know, it's kind of turning into more of a screamer than I wanted it. But again, this is a piston build, so we put the stock piston back in, raise that height back up on the piston, cut the squish band on the cylinder. We're back. We're probably damn near back to stock timing numbers on the exhaust and transfers, and then I trimmed a little off, this couple degrees off the skirt, so that probably put us back to 77, 78 on the intake. So just like that, you know, we have a lifeline. We can go right back to more reasonable numbers with this saw. But I'm curious. I mean, this is just what I do for fun, right? This is just all for fun. This is not a customer saw. I don't work on customer saws. That's why. It's so that this is what I love to do. So let's just throw this thing together. I got a tree leaning on a nice maple out there. I got to cut that thing up. It'd be a perfect tree to do some break in with this saw. Let's throw it together. Let's go break these rings in. Got a little stutter to it, and it just died. Man, it was running really good in the tuning log. Still issues with the Autotune here. I don't think it's gonna clear up. Yep, died again. I don't think this thing's gonna, I don't think this coil and carb is gonna work. It had a stutter. It would die occasionally at idle for version 1, but this is now even worse. guys, I tried to be quick. But yeah, I'm an amateur cutter. It happens to the best of us, right? Maybe not. You guys can have a good laugh. I don't care. Still gonna get the tree cut. These will get me every now and then. It would help if you guys saw that man. There we go, baby. She runs good when she's open. When she's tapped open, she runs good. All right, so good and bad, okay? When we were tapped out in the wood, it pulled hard, it ran good. It ran good both times I tuned it. It did the long rip cut tuning procedure. It ran good both times I did that at wide open throttle. When it's not running good is when the carb needs to modulate, when it's transitioning from low to high. It's just not working, and whether that's a hardware or a software issue, I don't know. And there's no way for me to diagnose that at home. If this solenoid is bad or if it's a carb problem, all I can do is take the carb apart, thoroughly clean it, inspect all the parts, and assemble it correctly, which I've done. So that's all that I can do with it, and try to do tuning procedures in the log. Otherwise, you got to go to the dealer. You got to go to the dealer and spend a few $100s to have them diagnose it. They'll probably sell you some new parts, and then they'll have to reprogram the new parts. So yeah, you're into it for a few $100 if you want to go that route. What I'm going to do is, because I don't have a 592 coil and carb to swap out and try a different coil and carb, otherwise it'd be on there already. I do have a 585 coil and carb. Okay, so this is non-auto tune. It actually has tuning screws, jet screws here that we can actually manually tune this carb. So we're going to do an auto tune delete. Try to tune it. I did notice a little bit of detonation too at times, but we have to. This is a break-in mixture, so we've got to put the 585 coil and carb on, run it, probably put in my regular 40-to-1 work fuel mixture, and then we got to see, do we still have a little bit of detonation, or is that cleaned up? If we do, we might have to make an adjustment to the flywheel. But with this auto-tune system malfunctioning, who knows what could be going on with it? I mean, it's very difficult to tune or diagnose things if something's malfunctioning, right? So let's put the non-Autotune coil and carb on and let's go run it again. Well, that was nice to finally see this saw run like it should and be able to tune the carburetor and not have a bunch of problems. Now, and I get it, thousands of millions of people probably around the world are cutting billions of dollars of timber with auto-tune saws, and they love them. And time is money. So if the computer can tune the saw for you, awesome. Why not have that? As a builder, for what I'm doing here, it just doesn't make as much sense unless you fire it up and the thing's perfect and it ain't got any problems and the computer tunes out any issues. Then give me the standard, give me a tunable carb any day as a builder, you know. But either way, this is in no way am I saying there's a problem with Autotune or anything like that. It's a great system, and it's been improved upon multiple times over the years. And in no way should you ever be reluctant to buy an Autotune saw. I mean, like I said, millions of people are running them. All the pros run them. That's what they run. So. I'm just glad this saw is running like a ported 592 should. And remember, we goofed a little bit, accidentally set that exhaust at 96. So, you know, that was a questionable. That was a little questionable whether or not that this thing was going to pull hard in a big hard wood. You know, and we haven't put the long bar on it yet, but I think if the chain's filed correctly, we run a 7-pin, I don't see any reason why it should have an issue pulling a 3-foot bar. And I think we'll go and run it against the stock 395 in the future. I don't feel like messing with it anymore right now, but in the future, I'll race this saw against the stock 395 on a 3-foot bar, and then we'll see how it hangs. But for now, that's it for this video. I'm glad we'll call this version 2.1 because of the auto-tune delete. It's not exactly the same as version 2.0. We'll call it 2.1 here, and we'll call this saw done for now. And for my first 592 build, I think we're starting to trend in the right direction. And, you know, that leaves it open for part 3 and a part 4, or version 3 and 4, and in the future if I ever feel like it, or if I get another one and want to build it different. So I got lots of content coming up this fall when I get back into building other saws. So I might do some how-to videos, even though I'm not really I'm not really into doing how-to videos. I mostly just document the stuff that I'm wrenching on. But I may do some beginner, just real beginner how-to kind of videos and see how it goes. So thank you for watching.